Hello, my name is Robin Lake. I'm a clinician at Family Service Center, and I'm happy to be with you today. You've met Dr. Renee Dominguez, our executive director, in the previous weeks, and we're delighted to talk with you about coping during COVID through this wonderful partnership with the Village of Northbrook. Today, I'm going to very briefly review the things that we've covered and extend our learning by talking about the stress response system, with the hope that understanding our nervous system can help us use our tools more effectively. So grab your notebook or whatever helps you to keep track of your learning during this process, and let's start off by remembering the concepts from the last few weeks. The first week was the cognitive triangle, then common thinking errors, worry and ways to combat worry. We talked about boundaries and how to protect ourselves, learned about self-talk and the power of befriending our own mind, and last week we talked about gratitude and the benefits of practicing gratitude. Today, our focus is on the stress response system. It's been a tough year for nervous systems. The pandemic has been with us for a full year, and we have changed in ways that we would have not expected. We've lost more than we thought possible, and our whole body, mind, spirit system is feeling the effects of that. You may have noticed that you react more quickly, more strongly to some of the daily hassles in your life. And there are some really clear reasons for that. And by understanding how our system works, we can hopefully avoid staying in that reactive state, and we can better use the strategies that we've discussed during the series. Like little prairie dogs constantly scanning for danger, our stress response system is always keeping us safe. Many of us can recognize the signs of being on high alert. Might feel like worrying, responding defensively, being cynical, maybe even just waiting for the other shoe to drop in moments of quiet. Our incredibly sensitive nervous system is always attuned to the environment, scanning for danger and support. Our scanning and responding takes place without our conscious awareness. It's actually our brainstem and our limbic system that control the autonomic nervous system. So let's talk a little bit about that brain system. You can see a handy model of the brain from one of our favorite theorists, Dan Siegel, talks about how we've got the brainstem, the limbic system, and then the cortex covers that. The cortex is where we have understanding, abstract thinking, thinking clearly. The brainstem and the limbic system are not quite as logical or abstract thinking. And so when the lower parts of our brain, which are responsible for crisis, take control, that means our fight, flight, freeze response is activated. So when we detect a threat, we flip our lid. And so during that time, our cortex, the fingers, are disengaged and disconnected. And so that means that when you flip your lid, you really cannot think clearly. You're not going to be able to access that part. So there are many triggers for flipping your lid. It could be skidding on an icy road, could be lions, tigers, and bears. It could be an argument with your brother or your child. It could be worry about how to pay bills. There are so many things that can trigger our fight, flight, freeze response. We might be worried about our parents, and can they live on their own? Do we need to be helping more? All kinds of ways to trigger that response, and yet our body has one nervous system, one way to respond. Adrenaline, cortisol, narrowed vision, cloudy thinking, and really big emotions. So how do we put our brain back together? Our lower brain has control, and words and abstract reasoning don't really live there. So how do we speak directly to the brainstem? Well, we have to target the things that the brainstem is in control of. So heart rate, breathing, balance, digestion, blinking, any involuntary action that you can make voluntary. This is the way to tell your brain there is no tiger, there is no need for adrenaline. So in stressful situations, you can take slow, deep breaths, or use the box breathing that's on the slide, also called tactical breathing. You can blink your eyes on purpose, slowly or very fast. You can feel textures, take a drink of water, press your feet into the floor. Anything that's going to tell your body you are not being chased by a bear. You don't need to respond this way. It may not get you all the way to calm, but it will stop the fight, flight, freeze response. So as we pause and reflect, have you flipped your lid recently? Most of us have. Are there predictable times when you're likely to flip your lid? What helps you to calm down? How can you target your brainstem to close that lid? And when we think about intentions, how can you use your knowledge of the brainstem, the autonomic nervous system, the way that we are constantly scanning our environments without even really our conscious knowledge? How can you use this to more effectively respond to your environment? Which method of targeting the brainstem would you like to try? I hope that this is helpful, and I look forward to connecting with you next week.